I've always had this lack or absence or inability to perceive danger. Like I said, I was not a bad dude. I was not brave or bold or courageous or any of those things. You know, why I did it, I don't know. Just to get away with it, to defy the odds, like running in front of the cars. I don't know, but I just had this thing, you know. Maybe I was just dumb. I honestly don't know. But anything that was like I shouldn't do, I wanted to do. And I was not a bad guy. I wasn't mean or sadistic or hurting people. I was not. I was very caring, a very nice guy. When one of the kids would get beat up by bullies, I'd go try to help him out after. You know, everyone else would run. You know, I didn't want to get beat up, but I felt bad for the kid. You know, that was me. That was Bob. And so, anything I wanted to do that was I shouldn't do, I just wanted to do it. Now, like I said, I never grew up. Right? All this stuff happened early on, and I was suddenly like an adult in a 4-year-old's body, and just got chronologically older, but nothing, you know, mentally. And so I just liked the idea of taking dangerous steps. I mean, to me, my life was like a movie anyway. And so, you know, like when you go see a movie and you see somebody get killed or whatever, blown up or something, well, you know that after the movie's over, they go home and have dinner with their family and whatnot. So I had heard, and this is another one of these, probably just an urban myth. Maybe there was some truth to it. I didn't know at the time. But just like we had heard about the guys who jumped off the gym roof and into the pool, I had heard, now this is, I love anything you're not supposed to do, anything illegal. And for me, it was like fireworks, not fountains and sparklers and those little wormy things that you light and till they run out. No, I like loud, illegal stuff. Firecrackers at the very minimum. And later on, I would learn about cherry bombs, barrel bombs, M80s, quarter sticks. But back then, firecrackers, illegal, loud firecrackers were enough for me. Now, you could get them, they're illegal everywhere, and you could get them in lily white, conservative ass, believe everything on the news, San Leandro, but they were 25 cents a pack. Now, I don't know how many of you were little kids back then, and if you had a bunch of quarters jangling around in your pocket, I sure didn't. And word had it that if you could get together $8, and you could make your way over to Chinatown in San Francisco, that if you could make a connection with some black market person, you know, they don't sell them openly, that you could get a brick, 80 packs for $8. That's 10 cents a pack. If I could score one of those, I could light off all the firecrackers I wanted and still have enough to sell to the kids and then go buy another brick. I mean, I love firecrackers. I mean, you could light them off one at a time, or you could light off a whole pack of 16 at once. 16 times the fun, but then, you know, your fun is over in the time it takes to light one. And $8 was a fortune, was an enormous sum for me to get together. But I worked on it, and I worked on it, and I worked on it. Finally, I had it together. I'm in the 5th grade, and I finally got it together. And without telling anybody, because if I did, they wouldn't let me go. Now, we had this weird segregated dynamic. Oakland, East Oakland especially, you know, it's very, very integrated. San Leandro was not, at least back then. And it was, you know, we had 2 buses. We had the 55 bus that went up and down and all through California, all through town, zigzagging and that. And then there was another bus, the R. I guess people took it to the San Francisco who worked there. We didn't have, this was before BART. And for me, it was a quarter for a kid to take the freeway bus to San Francisco. So I got my $8 and my 1 quarter to get there. I didn't have bus fare back. As soon as I hit $8.25, I was gone. And I waited for my point is they stopped at the same bus stop, and that's all we had, the 55 and the R. I jump on the R with my quarter, and I am just psyched, man. At San Francisco, and up there in Northern California, everything's all squashed together, so it was a fast bus ride to get there. And I'm finally at the terminal, I get off, man, this is cool, San Francisco. And I asked a stranger, hey, which way is Chinatown? Well, it's that way, sort of, but you're probably better off taking a bus. No. I took 1 bus to get here. I'm absorbing all this. I'm taking it all in. So I went through what I would later learn was like the financial district and some of the more famous monuments. North Beach to the right, and there it is to the left, right in front of me, Chinatown. Now, Chinatown has all these, if you've been there in San Francisco, it's probably like other Chinatowns, but if you haven't, they have all these restaurants and brick and mortar shops. And this time of year, that sell all things Chinese, and this time of year, on card tables out in front of some of these shops, old timers are selling what they used to call, maybe they still call them, safe and sane fireworks. Fountains, sparklers, wormy things. Well, I wasn't interested in any of that. So I'm over there and I'm trying to scope out the situation. Who could I go up to and ask, like, where can I get some illegal firecrackers and not start a war? And just like in a movie, almost on cue, this obvious plainclothes cop walks up to one of these old timers at a card table and he's trying to sell him some stuff. That's great, but where can I get the good stuff? That old man went off on him something fierce. What you mean good stuff? I don't got no good stuff. You go away. You leave me alone. Go away. Get out of here. No, I don't got no good stuff. Hey, everybody. He police. He police. No, sell to him. You go away. No, you go away. You go away. You get out of here. He police. He police. Man, if that cop could have melted into the sidewalk, he would have. So next thing you know, he evaporates into the sunset. And again, right on cue. I mean, you couldn't have all these things happen in, like, you know, it would take days if they happened, which you would think the normal time would be. But right after he disappears, I hear a horn honk. And like you'd almost been watching the whole scene, I turn around, and there's this car double parked, and some Chinese guy in it, about 25 years old. And he yells out to me through a rolled down window. You looking for something, kid? I nod. He motions me over with his hand. Now, as I said, I was fairly oblivious to danger. I knew bad things happen to people, but they were never going to happen to me, right? You know, 4-year-old mentality in a 13-year-old, 11-year-old body. And even I, though, with my lack of appreciation of dangerous situations, as I look at that open car door and I size this guy up a little bit, I think to myself, I'm not sure if this is the smartest thing I'll ever do in my life, but I couldn't resist. Again, my whole life was like a movie to me, you know. There was like some imaginary audience behind me on the sidewalk watching me, and just like at the bull ring, well, I had to get in. So I did. I closed the door, and it was the coolest 20-minute car ride I have ever been on. This guy was so cool. He just starts talking to me like we've known each other all our lives, like I'm part of his crew, I'm one of his posse, you know, in between drags. He starts talking and just, we're not talking about firecrackers or how much or anything like that. We're just hanging out. I could not believe how cool this guy was. I didn't know many cool people. This guy was cool. I mean, so cool that when he didn't grip the knob on a radio, you know, to turn it up like us mortals. He flicked at it, leaning back too. He'd flick at it, and the music got louder. Coolest thing I ever saw. Fonzie had nothing on this guy. So we're driving all around the boonies now. I don't know where we're at, and I somehow think I grew up older, think it's kind of Hunter's Point, sort of near Candlestick Park, but I don't know for sure. And there's nothing out there, no houses, a few scattered buildings, and he pulls up next to this totally broken down, defunct warehouse, broken windows, you know, all locked up. Wait here, kid. I'll be right back. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. This certainly doesn't occur to me, but who knows? This could have been a setup, and another car of gangsters like him, gangbangers, pulls up right next to me and snatches me or something. I mean, it happens. It happened then. It's happened since, tragically. And San Francisco is no place for a kid then or now to be. I mean, this was the late 60s. You know, protests and riots and demonstrations at UC Berkeley and San Francisco State. The Zodiac Killer, Anton LaVey and the Church of Satan, later the Zebra Killer. More stuff. I mean, just stuff kept happening and happening and happening. And I could have, you know, nobody would have known I was even there until I went missing. And here he comes back. None of that stuff occurs to me. A few minutes later, he comes back in, hand under his jacket, tosses me a complete, fresh, unopened brick of firecrackers, 80 packs all stuck together in that kind of waxy paper with the coolest hand-illustrated label the size of the brick. I mean, it was probably mimeoed. It wasn't an original, but it was like some pagoda or some dragon or something. I'd give anything to have that label today. Oh, man, I just held it in my hands. The Holy Grail. I was in such awe, I forgot about even paying him. We start driving, and we're just talking, man, about everything, you know, anything, nothing. I mean, and like, I don't know how he knew this, but he dropped me off at the bus terminal, not back to Chinatown, like if he knew. And I said, oh shit, I better get my money. So I pulled out a 5 and 3 ones, and you know, like a gork, that's a cross between a geek and a dork. Like a gork, I pulled it out, handed it to him, and he doesn't even grab it. He just kind of glances it out of my hand and into the ashtray, like with the knob on the radio. This kid was so cool. And he just smiles at me, and I'm like, again, like I was one of his posse, and I say, well, next time I get $8, he just smiles, nods his head. I get out of the car, shut his door, and he drives off. Now I'm at the bus terminal with no money to get back home. I'm flat broke. What's a kid gonna do to get home? Offer a bus driver a pack of firecrackers? No, I know. I'll panhandle. I've never done it before in my life. So before I could even get my hand up, does anybody, all these adults, all these grown-ups come running over, flocking over to me to give me a quarter. Some give me more than a quarter. In no time, blink of an eye, I've got enough not only to get back home, but to get a real burger on the other side, not some Golden Arches garbage. And there I am, riding on the bus, back across the Bay Bridge, brick of firecrackers under my arm, looking out the window like Eminem in 8 Mile. Yeah, doing dangerous stuff's happening.